No figures. I don't know. What do you mean? It's on the presenter mode. A very good morning to you all. It's truly a great pleasure to be sharing some of the recent advances in neuroscience research. And of course, it's not just about sharing the recent advances in neuroscience research, but also my joy, especially for the past 15 years, going back to India and conducting several workshops and talks, and then mingling with many different types of people, both in India and in other countries. I have learned a lot. And whatever I have learned, that joy of learning and sharing, this is the reason I'm here today. Yeah, the title seems quite, I don't know how to say it. I would say it unique or different. We can understand changing our memories, we can understand changing our memories. What does that mean? And on top of that, changing our brain. What does that mean? Right? It's kind of, it makes you reflect. The title itself makes you reflect. And that's a whole idea. So before I start, I would like to ask you, why? Why are you here? Yes, of course, the title is intriguing. And other than that, what is it that you're expecting the next few hours? Let me know. Then I'll be able to understand your needs. And if you want to change some memories, what are those kinds of memories that you want to change? If you're looking to make certain changes in your lives, what type of change are you looking at? I'm sure you have come from some kind of expectation, right? May I ask you what it would be?
To change into present.
Yeah, go ahead. You can go ahead. Anybody? This will help me. This will help me to incorporate your expectations and what type of memories you want to change. What is it that you're looking for? Yes.
Change traumatic experience.
Absolutely. Memories of some of the traumatic experiences we have had. Absolutely. Yes.
Personally, I just found that science is so linked with spirituality, and I just want them to, but also to bring that joy not only to my life, to share with others, be able to touch his mind.
Sure.
Especially, I've got a young son, 22, just turned 22. And I just want to see how this can also help him, but at least firsthand, you know, because we have so much of, I'm also a nurse by profession, so we touch so many people's lives, but yet, how do we bring this into our own homes, because charity.
Absolutely, certainly. But yes, we will deal with that indirectly here. But there are several other talks that were given. If you can check with the coordinators here, they'll be able to give you the link. Some of it, I think, they're also on the YouTube that directly relates to that. So we will see. Absolutely. Anybody? Yes?
I've always been, or I have been intrigued on pharmacists and with the neuroscience and talk of reconnecting the little back. I want to know how neuroscience, there's talk of research NLP, and if someone has an addiction and NLP is supposed to rewire the brain, I'd just like to know how that ties in with the, with the neuroscience, and I certainly believe there's a spiritual connection.
Yeah.
So I've been looking for answers because I'm directly of someone, child, in addiction, and I want to know how to be able to best help.
Absolutely. That's a really great question. We're not going to be dealing with that directly, but if you're really interested, as Dr. Shivani Singh said, this is the 80th year, and then the theme is both bringing awareness and to improve mental health. If you watch that, she said use mental health rather than mental illness. The way we look at it also should change, you know. So if you're truly interested, I'm going to be here for a few more days, and then we can try and see what we can do to address particular issues that you're bringing about, because this is not the topic to be addressing directly, but I will still try to see how I can bring it in if possible. But we have touched upon it in many other talks that have been are being conducted, and especially the mindful living series that both Dr. Shivani and Dr. Veena are arranging. And I think in 2 days it's going to be the 4th of the series, and we're thinking that we have 1 or 2 more left. And we have touched upon the issue of addiction, that it's not just a bad habit, but it is a disease in itself. And I personally believe, and also based on the experience of training, the trainers of the addiction program have done this, that it is not just an illness, but it is really connected with not getting answers to the existential questions. Figuring out the meaning and purpose of life is the key for addiction. I will just say this, and then we can you can talk to the organizers, and then we can see how is it possible to be able to do that. Or we can even tackle from the caregiver's perspective, because caregivers themselves will be able to handle in many different ways, but they would not know how to deal with not just addiction. It could be depression, it could be anxiety, many other issues. So we can tackle that issue by dealing with understanding caregivers as healers. Because doctors can cure certain things, but caregivers are the ones who are the healers. And we need to understand what that means. And these days, even doctors, you know, they are switching from just curing to healing. It's about, I would say 15 years back is when my daughter went into medical school in US. Before she went into medical school, she was given a book by the title Doctors as Healers. That is just a title for you all, but for me, being in US, being the faculty of medical school, the word healing itself was a taboo in US medical schools. But when my daughter went, before she went into the medical school, she was given that as a summer reading. It is huge, huge change. This is 15 years back in US. Whether it's in India or here or in UK, where I go, we're still behind. We don't even think of that process of healing. It is such an important aspect. And now, these days in US, I just came from US to South Africa. I've been on a speaking tour. And most of the doctors, young doctors like that I see here, they were addressing the issue of addiction in their own young kids for addiction of this. It's a huge issue. And then even as medical professionals, we are learning. We don't have answers. We can give many views and opinions and suggestions and our own experiences based on many different aspects. And these things, it is only going to get worse before it gets better, because young kids are getting, we don't even realize it is addiction, but we see that we're not able to do anything until and unless their parents come about. Even before they go into school, they're getting into addiction. So it's not the kids, it's the parents, it's the adults. We need to understand what this addiction is all about. So I know, I instead of just touching upon it, it's so close to my heart. I've spent so much time, but honestly, please contact our doctors here. They'll be able to arrange and then be a part of it. Thank you for bringing it in. Yes.
I think, Ushama, many of us are here because we want to improve interpersonal relationships that have been affected by negative behaviors.
Absolutely. You know, I always say much more than our health and wealth, because we are all at a stage, we are comfortable. Much more than our health and wealth, it is the interpersonal relationships that is so very important. We're okay financially. Health after a certain age, sometimes even when somebody is young, is going to get affected. It's a given. But imagine if the interpersonal relationships are not good. No matter how healthy you are, you're not going to be able to enjoy life and have zest for life. And no matter what illness that you might have at whatever age, if you have a loving family and if you have loving support system, you can tackle and handle any illness. So that is how important interpersonal relationships are. And of course, we are going to be dealing with in an indirect way with memories. But that is another topic in itself, that we say, how do we improve our interpersonal relationships? This is another flagship program of our organization. So another thing for you all to think about. Great. Anything else? Yes.
I'm diagnosed with fibroid, and I'm a chronic patient, so I'm continuing medication. So there have been times where I stopped medication and I've ended up going to hospital. So is there an alternative to get peace of mind and actually to discontinue that medication?
It's a general question. I can only give you a general answer, but of course, you will get some answers today. But if you're really interested in how to deal with our chronic illnesses, and I personally know there are few who are dealing with certain chronic condition, either with themselves or with their loved ones in the family. And then again, maybe you can get in touch with our organizers, Dr. Veena Singaram and Dr. Shivani Singh, and also Dr. Ramola. I saw her this morning. Any one of these three organizers, that we are ready to give a hand in understanding how to deal with this too, It is also about self-management. How do we manage ourselves, both emotionally, physically, nutritionally, spiritually? So all of this we can deal with, again, different formats, not necessarily like this. Even if I'm away in a different country, it shouldn't matter. We can have different formats as support group meetings to be able to handle chronic illness conditions. This is another thing. Please give your names and your information so that we can actually, Veena, we can actually start one even before we leave. Maybe we can start one support group meeting because it is probably kind of new for people here, at least the way I deal with this, because I've been trained by National Stroke Association of USA, wherein I used to conduct support group meetings regularly for people with stroke and with Parkinson's disorder. So we can actually start that format even before we leave in person, and then later on we can take it up through Zoom meetings. Because this has to be kind of ongoing. The medicines are extremely important, life-saving and whatnot. But as medical professionals, we know that medications is not the end all. We need to learn how to manage our physical health, our emotional health, our nutritional health, our spiritual health. That is where we can deal with, and then we can all become healers. And I'm saying from a very highly scientific perspective, not healer from alternate medical perspective. Even that we can deal with it, but again, from a highly scientific, evidence-based research perspective is what I'm talking about when I say we need to train ourselves as healers. Yeah, we're trying to find out why you're here, what are your expectations are. So anybody who wants to, because the title is very intriguing, changing our memories and changing our brain. And of course, we all want to change our lives. Anything else? Any other expectation that you might have? Okay. Got it. Did I? Okay. What do we see here? A face, right? Maybe a stranger's face.
A word also.
Yes, somebody said a word, right? Did you see that word also? Liar, right? It's the same, liar, written sideways, and it's also face maybe of a stranger wearing glasses and a mole neck on the cheek, whatever, all the description. Some people only saw the face, some people only saw the word liar, but now we know. You can see both ways. Is there any right or wrong in seeing any of those two? No, isn't it so? There is no right or wrong, but there are certainly consequences of how we feel when we see that. And what do I mean by that? What kind of emotions do we get when we see the word liar? Yeah? Negative. We don't like that. Or right away, our mind goes to somebody who lied to us. And how dare they? Right? Not just like so many emotions come about. Whereas when we see the face of a stranger, what do we see? Fear. Not much, neutral, right? There is no right or wrong again. But certainly, depending on how we look at it, there are consequences. So whether we know it, but whether we realize it, right or wrong, there is a lag, I think, or somebody else's. That was, yeah, that's okay.
So,
Usually there will be few seconds lag. Is that okay? Can I continue? Yeah. We know that that there are consequences for things that we do, right? But do we realize it at the time when we need to? That is the issue. So we know actions have consequences. We know if we touch the fire, we're going to get burnt, right? Actions have consequences. That's a given. We all understand that. But have we thought about not just actions, but our thoughts, our thinking process, our thinking pattern? Thoughts have consequences. Our feelings have consequences. Not just our thoughts, our feelings have consequences. Not just our actions, not just our thoughts, not just our feelings, but our memories have consequences. Really, really profound. Even now it makes sense when I say that, right? But when we are going through thick and thin, when we are in the midst of things, at that time, can we remember this and do whatever that needs to be done to reduce those consequences if it is negative? That's why we are here today, to first understand that actions have consequences. Everything that we do have consequences. Our thoughts, our feelings, our memories have consequences. So how, when we change the way we look at things, the things we look at will change. I'll just give you an example. Today is 11th September. For me, 11th September, you know what comes to my mind?
9/11. 9/11.
Yes, the 9/11 terrorist attack. That changed completely. I was there. Just 100 miles away. We were glued to TV. We didn't even know how to react. In shock. The whole nation was in shock. 21 years back, 2001. And today, yes, that is the first thing that comes to my mind. That's the memory etched in. Either I can just relive that, how the Twin Towers burned and how we were frantically calling our friends and family who were working in those Twin Towers that day. not trying to get hold of them, the family members and whatnot. Either I can just go back and remember that, nothing wrong. Or I can focus on the things that we did later on. How, as a nation, as a community, as a family, as an individual, how we all healed ourselves. How we arranged interfaith religious meetings to heal ourselves. I can focus on that. It's just changing the perspective, isn't it so? It's just changing our perspective. What is it that we choose? The choice is ours. Both of those incidents, as it happened, and afterwards, how he healed. Which one do I choose? I cannot ignore what happened on this day 21 years back. It is not about ignoring. Changing memories is not about ignoring. But how do we fill that up with something else? Something positive that also happened, right? So it's a different way of looking at it. Whenever I say, people think, oh, it is like looking at a glass half full and half empty, right? So we need to focus on something that is half full. Yes, but what I'm trying to get at is something more than that, something beyond that. It's quite okay. Focus on the glass that is half empty, but don't let it remain half empty. You have the choice to fill that half glass that is empty. How do we choose to fill that glass that is half empty? That choice is ours. As I was saying yesterday in the satsang, the choice is nothing but our free will. That free will is the most important quality of a human being, and it's the quality of conscious mind, and that is what makes us human. And what do we choose to fill it in? We can fill it in with lot more negative issues and trying to remember the people we lost during that incident, or we can truly choose to heal, understanding the spirituality behind it, or rather than that, understanding why is this happening in this day and age? Can we understand the perpetrator? Can we understand the terrorist's mind? And feel that each one of us is responsible for that doing of that terrorist. We don't think of it that way. Now, again, science, but may not be just neuroscience. We need to bring in quantum physics to understand, to go deeply into why did the terrorists do this? What is happening in their mind? Are they so hurt? Or are they so misunderstood to take away so many people's lives? Just thinking about it at an individual level is not going to be enough. That is what I'm trying to say here, bring it here. Because some of the traumatic experiences that we are going through, I'm hearing what is happening in this country. Just thinking it alone, dealing it alone is not going to be enough. Can we understand why such a thing is happening in this day and age? We need to really, really go deep. Right now, there are no answers. All I can do is to raise questions. At an individual level, I can give you the answers, how you can overcome. But until and unless together, we are in it together, to be able to overcome, it is not going to be possible. We can be thinking about ourselves as silos. We don't live on islands. We are social beings. How long can we live in silos thinking about ourselves? It is not possible. Until and unless others are also uplifted, we cannot be happy. That is what quantum physics research shows. The importance or the significance of interconnectedness of all beings and interconnectedness of all both animate and inanimate things. That's again a topic in its a separate by itself. Or I can change. How do I feel that in that half glass with the 9/11 experience, thinking about interfaith religious meetings, and from then on my purpose in life also changed, to be honest with you. Or I can also remember 9/11 today, 129 years back, Swami Vivekananda gave an address in the very first World Parliament of Religions. This was on this day, 129 years back. We need to be doing both. We need to be doing both. So, what do I mean by this statement? When you change the way you look at things, the things you look at will change. It's really, really profound. There is no day, no talk that goes without me quoting this saying. So let us see, what does it mean with respect to memories? Yes, there are memories that are uplifting. You can go back and think about when you got married, when you had the first child, when you have the first grandchild, right? Uplifting memories. Or when you come to satsang here, how uplifting it is. Or we can dwell on memories, of course, that are self-limiting. Both memories are there within us. What is it that we need to keep bringing up? That choice again is ours. We have to again keep changing the way we look at things. Again, with memories, there are memories that we definitely want to keep remembering. Great memories. But there are memories we are trying to forget, we want to forget, but it is, I will tell you, it is really, really hard to forget, especially the hurtful, traumatic memories, negative memories, because that is the nature of mind, because we all have this innate bias within us that makes our mind stick like Velcro for negative memories, negative feelings, negative thoughts, negative emotions, negative feelings. We need to understand this, and the only way out is through knowledge. And there is no colored pill that comes in a white bottle that you can take it in and get rid of it. And we wish. And that is one of the things, understanding the underlying cause for addiction. We don't know how to deal with the things that happen in our lives, and we try something to numb that pain. And without our knowledge, it becomes an addiction. So to truly overcome the addiction, either in ourselves or in others, we truly have to go deep down in understanding ourselves so that we can understand others to be able to come out of it. all of this, the newest branch in neuroscience research, positive psychology, really has helped me so much, because earlier I would talk about the existential questions that would come under philosophy, and then nobody didn't want to hear about it because it is philosophical. But now I can bravely and courageously say, bringing in existential questions into any of the talks, figure out the meaning and purpose of your life, which is the essence of positive psychology tenet. Now, all of a sudden, I get credibility because I'm bringing in the scientific perspective, and rightly so. Rightly so. Earlier, I was handicapped, not anymore. So, we want to forget, but it is really hard to forget. And is it possible to change? And how do we change? We're going to look into this. It's all about remembering to forget. And we need to forget certain things to remember other things. This, we're going to go deeper. I think it is next week. I forget the date, on a talk on dealing with grief and loss. 17th, 13th. Okay, 13th. That is what we're going to be dealing with. 17th. Yeah, 17th, which is we need to remember to forget certain things, and we need to forget certain things so that we can remember other things. This is how we deal with our grief and losses. That is another topic by itself. Anyway, coming back again to memories. Why? Why do we want to forget? And I say it is almost impossible to forget, except the time is the only one that heals, and we cannot wait for the time to heal certain traumatic memories, because we would lose a lot of ourselves. Not just the time, we would lose a lot of ourselves. We will lose the things that we can do in a meaningful way in our lives if we just wait for the time to heal. No need for that. We can take charge and work at a conscious level, effortful way, and a willful way to be able to overcome this. And the ultimate reason is to evolve ourselves into better human beings. Otherwise, with whatever memories that we have, of course, the traumatic memories, the negative memories, and the memories of dealing with our own loved ones become difficult people in our lives many a times. So how do we deal with this to be evolving rather than just trying to ignore, trying to avoid? And when we do that, we are only, quote unquote, surviving through this, dealing, adjusting with this, rather than that, tackle that in an effortful, conscious, willful ways to be able to evolve into better human beings. It's one of my favorites. These days, we don't even have to go to pen drive. We have this, right? Yeah. We save good memories on our WhatsApp messages that we send, and bad memories in mind. Just changing the location will automatically change, it says. But I know it is not that simple and easy. Nice to read. It brings a smile on the face because it's kind of cute to know this. But we know if it were to be that easy, I didn't have to customize and then prepare a workshop especially for this center, you know. It is not that easy. We know that. So we're going to learn in the next couple of hours how do we change the location, and not just the location. How do we change the way we are looking at the memories and what is it that we need to be focusing on is what we're going to know. So before I go further with this introduction, I'm going to ask you, is there anything that you want to add right now? Some of you already shared. Is there anything that you're looking for right now with anything specific? Or else I can go further. All right, go further, fine. Again, this is a prayer, but I say it's a scientific prayer, highly scientific prayer. Oops, all right. It says, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change. What has happened in the past, it's impossible to change. Can we accept it with serenity? And granting the courage to change the things that we can and to know the difference between the two. It is so highly scientific. I'll just give you an example. It should bring a smile on your face. When we all got married years back for the first year, how especially women try to change their spouses, right? Isn't it so? And then we learned. Some of us a funny way, some of us the hard way. Whichever way we learned, oh, it is impossible to change. Maybe, if we are lucky, maybe train, but not change, right? Anyway, we need to understand that how it is impossible to change others. At best, we can touch people's lives and maybe become a trigger or maybe an inspiration for somebody to change. But we can never, ever take the credit that we have changed somebody. That's what I'm trying to get at. But ourselves, when we are trying to change, how tough it is, we know. And yet we still keep trying to change. Still keep trying. We are so optimistic and hopeful. Let us try and look at this scientific prayer from different perspectives. So as I said, memories are always from the past, as we know. So is it possible to change the past? Absolutely not, right? Then again, I'm trying to say, yes, it is possible to change our memories and change our lives. What does that mean? It is all about understanding our own mind and our own actions, our own behaviors. And it is not about changing others or the past situations and circumstances. So that shift has to happen. When we change the way we look at things, the things we look at will change. We are not trying to change the past circumstances or actions, but how we are thinking about it, how we are feeling about it, how we are behaving towards the circumstances that happened earlier. If we can change that, then it is as good as changing our memories. That is how we will be able to change our lives. This we're going to go deeper in a scientific way. And this changing thoughts, feelings is all at the level of mind, right? We'll see it is something deeper than just changing our mind. We will see what that is. So we cannot change our past, but we certainly can change our experience of the past, especially of the traumatic experience we have gone through. So with this, do we know what are memories? What do you think are memories?
Events that have occurred.
Events that have occurred, okay?
images that are etched in the brain.
Image that is etched in the brain. Yes.
Something also an experience.
Okay.
That gave an experience, and that's etched. The
Yes.
feelings that you tell.
Yes. Absolutely. Yeah. Anything else? Okay. Let us see. Let us come to common terminology so that it should help us, because each one of you is correct. But how? How would we overcome all of this? So let us have something to work on so it becomes much easier for all of us to work on ourselves. Look at this. Memories are thoughts. Memories are present thoughts of the experience that happened long time back. That experience is, but now we are thinking about it. So memories are nothing but present thoughts of that experience, right? What you said, but I'm making it even simpler, that's all. Simpler for us to be able to handle and tackle. Memories are not just thoughts, they are also feelings. Memories are present feelings. And now I can add memories are images of the past experience, but we are reliving that experience right now. Isn't that so? But if we bring that down to just thoughts and feelings, it makes it easier. Even that images because of the feelings. And then we will see how this is connected to certain neuroscience concepts, and then we'll be able to understand as I go further. So memories, there are different types of memories, of course, as I mentioned earlier. Some are helpful, some are hurtful, some are painful memories, some are traumatic, some are pleasant. Some memories bring anguish. Some memories bring solace to ourselves. Some memories bring heartache. Some memories bring love. And some memories are a blessing for us. And some others are a misfortune. They bring misfortune, some of the memories. With all those types of memories, and if you have to hone in on the feelings, memories are feelings, because thoughts are fleeting, they come and go. But feelings stay at the level of the body. Feelings are expressed at the level of the body. Feelings probably create those images that we cannot get rid of. And why, we will see why images are so powerful, why we cannot get rid of those images that are in our mind. So feelings, if we can focus, because feelings get expressed at the level of the body. And more importantly, feelings can go out of proportion at times when compared to what has happened. Depending on our moods, the feelings can go out of proportion. Because certain times the same incident we are able to handle if we are in a better mood, when we are with our loved ones, when we are with certain people. Whereas certain other times the same incident will have such deep feelings, intense feelings, and we know it is truly out of proportion at times. Again, we need to understand this at a cognitive level, so that when we have to go through, when we go through that, this is what we should remember and try to change. Yes.
Sharon, wouldn't you say the magnitude of the feeling that we have at that time would be the trigger that caused the feeling? Just to give an example, say if I got hijacked in the corner, and then when I come back 1 month later, I'm in that place and I see a couple of guys hanging around, immediately that's like a bad trigger.
Yes,
But I can go to another corner and, I won't have that kind of a trigger.
absolutely, absolutely. We're going
You
to
know?
deal with that. It is what we call as law of association.
Like, I mean, the perfect example for me personally was you spoke about 9/11 and you immediately triggered off because today is my wedding anniversary and 9/11 was like a bad wedding anniversary, and it triggered off a plethora of memories
True.
while I was sitting here. So, it's things like that.
Absolutely. That is what we call in a scientific way law of association. And we need to understand the, again, deeper science behind it, which I'll go through. It is called Hebbian law. And then once we understand, otherwise, without understanding, the feelings take over, the emotions take over. It is impossible to forget. That is why when we go in a scientific manner, understanding, it is because of law of association. If I come to that corner, that memory is triggered, yes, we're going to go through that in a detailed manner so that you'll be able to see how you'll be able to change. Great question again. Yes, we will go through that and then you will go deeper into both law of association and Hebbian law. Okay, so before we know how we can change these memories, let's understand some neuroscience principles before we put into practice about changing our memories. Is that okay? We're going to know what is thought, because we just said memories are nothing but thoughts. Memories are present thoughts of a past experience, and memories are feelings. Memories are present feelings of the past experience, right? We're going to understand what is this thought, what is the feeling, and the relationship between thoughts and feelings. We need to understand to be able to come out of that vicious cycle that we go through. So what is a thought? Again, anybody? What is a thought? Have we thought about our thoughts? And can we define a thought without using the word thinking? It is tough. When one of the neuroscientists asked in a conference with other scientists, it is tough. We can explain it in a very scientific way, which kind of doesn't make sense. When a thought occurs, there is electrochemical changes in the brain. We don't want all of that. We want something simple so that we can put that into practice in our day-to-day lives, right? So very simply, a thought is nothing but an idea, let us say. And it happens again and again and again, let's say. Because it is our idea. We have thought about it. We hold on to it. We are very particularly, I have thought about it. We don't question our thoughts. We want to hold on to it because it's our idea. It came to my mind. So we want to hold on to it. Here is the thing. It may be our idea, may be our thoughts. Thoughts are real. Real because they produce electrochemical changes in the brain. That way they are real. But all thoughts are not true. We need to put our thoughts into a true or false test. Just taking that example, when we get to that corner, you see two people. I was hijacked at that corner and nothing happened. But that moment, previous moment, oh, I'm going to go. And how do we feel? Palpitations, sweaty hands, anger and fear, all of that. Thinking, those two who are standing there reminds me just like the other day. Was that true? It was not, wasn't it? We passed through. And then we even recognize one of them. We know that person. But the thought earlier, oh, I have to be careful. And because of that thought, we believe in it. I'm not saying it's not, no value judgment here. It is very important. That is how we learn to be careful. I'm not saying you should not think of it that way, but I'm giving an example how all thoughts we get are not true. It's okay for a moment if it happens, and then it slows down, our heart rate slows down, and then we breathe deeply, and then we are okay. But many a times it happens again and again, either with our loved one, with an association with our siblings, our parents. Then it is recurring thing, right? Just because my mom misunderstood me and then said something, I keep remembering that each time. Is that true? No. So any of the thought, especially the negative ones that we get, try to remember. Most of the thoughts, negative thoughts especially, are not true. We need to put this into practice ourselves, and then no, otherwise, just me saying that, you won't be able to. Any negative thought that you get, try and put that into a true or false test. At best, you can say, I don't know. But most of the negative thoughts, we believe that it is so.
I know, sorry, I just can't. Say thoughts are not true. So
All thoughts are not true.
and, suppose you
Most of the negative, automatic negative thoughts are not true.
because when you think of something, that's obviously, you're going to get the scientific stimulation or whatever. But in your mind, it's there. So how do you, like in this case, the hijacking, I understand. But when you say thoughts are not true.
All thoughts are not
Yeah,
true.
not all thoughts. And you got to prove that it's not. So if it's a negative, I'm assuming you're going to have to rationalize and then have
Exactly.
further thought.
Yes,
So you've got to think and rationalize.
exactly.
So
That is what is called metacognition,
Yeah,
thinking
so
about
I
our
thought-
thoughts.
to say you're saying negative thoughts are not true. So you're going to then have to rethink.
Most of the negative thoughts are not true.
You're going to have to rethink
Yes,
and prove to yourself
Yes.
that it's not true. In other words, it's not happening.
yes, absolutely got it right. And the technical term for that is metacognition. We have to think about our thoughts in an objective way, in a conscious way, in a rational way. Good. And thoughts, we need to understand, release chemicals. All thoughts release chemicals. Positive thoughts will release, let's just make it general, positive chemicals, and negative thoughts release negative chemicals. And especially the traumatic memories, when they negative in the sense painful memories, of course, release negative chemicals over a period of time. If those memories are not healed properly, they truly affect our health over a period of time. This is a given. We have ample scientific evidence to show how our negative memories, negative experiences, negative thoughts, when they are not healed, they do affect our health over a period of time. So we need to remember again, whenever we get negative thoughts, we don't realize that the negative chemicals that are released in the brain, they get circulated throughout the body. The next time, it is not even about the thinking. We are at the level of the body because it's at the level of the feelings. Feelings are expressed at the level of the body. We don't even have to think anything negative. That's why the phrase butterflies in the stomach comes about whenever you're a little bit anxious or the butterflies in the stomach. We don't even think, it gets expressed at the level of the body. That's another thing with the addiction problem. The body acts as mind. The body is craving for those chemicals. The receptors are craving for the chemicals after a certain time. The liver craves. The body itself becomes the mind in terms of any aversion or craving. That is what happens. Anyway, the next is, so what I meant was thoughts are real, but all thoughts are not true. And now about the feeling. What is a feeling? Any thought we get produces a feeling. And depending on the, after the feeling, that is when we also act upon it. So everything under the sun begins from a thought, whether we know it or not. A thought producing a feeling, producing an action. Thought, feeling, and action. We need to again understand, because when we are dealing with changing our memories, what did we say? Memories are present thoughts of past experience. Memories are present feelings of past experience. This is another important concept for us to understand. And then this will all come together later. I'm just talking from the precepts or concepts, neuroscience concepts. And now the relationship between thought and feeling. As we said, every thought releases a chemical. Depending on the type of chemical that is released, a feeling is produced. The feelings again produce chemicals, not just thoughts, even feelings and emotions produce chemicals. Every feeling that we feel. And feelings produce chemicals, and accordingly, it triggers more thinking. So it's a cycle. And again, let us take a traumatic thought, a memory that triggers a traumatic thought, producing negative chemicals, producing negative feelings, produces more of negative chemicals, producing more of those negative thoughts, and end up as images. Somehow we need to understand how this happens and be able to break that cycle. And each one of us, we have to figure out our own ways. I can give some general ways how to break that cycle, what we should bring, but we have to figure out our own ways. And sometimes it could be a trial and error way. Or we can actually discuss about that one-on-one if it is really traumatic, and figure out various ways that we can break the cycle, especially when it comes to trauma. So thinking actually creates the feeling, and feelings create thinking. So, which is nothing but another way of saying our thoughts and our feelings become our memories. Very simple. But we hold on to those memories of our past experiences, especially those images which are etched in our mind. If we can bring that down as this is a thought, this is a feeling, and understand the science of thought and the relationship between thoughts and feelings, and it will make it a little bit easier to come out of it. But the why has to be very, very strong. We want to be able to come out of those traumatic memories. Many a times people do not want to come out of those traumatic memories. We hold on to it because we are afraid to come out of it. Or without our knowledge, we are in that victim mode. We don't even realize we are in that victim mode. So we need to make an effort, make that decision. I want to come out of this traumatic experience. That why has to be strong. Why do I have to come out of that experience? That why has to be strong for each and one of you. If that why is not strong enough, it is going to be very hard to come out of any traumatic experience. Because we see this in adults. When they go through certain traumatic experience as children, and they harbor it for decades together when they become adults, and it is so hard. So first we do is to make them understand what is your why to come out of this trauma. If we don't know our why, and if our why is not strong enough, no matter how many tools that I can give, how to come out, I can give you many, many tools. It is not going to be possible to come out of that traumatic experience until and unless that why is strong enough. So let our why be strong enough to come out of any experience. So again, what are memories? Memories are thoughts. Memories are present thoughts. Memories are feelings. Memories are feelings. Memories, present feelings. Memories are present thoughts, present feelings of past experience. And not necessarily traumatic experience, day-to-day arguments that we might have gets etched in our memories too. So anything for that matter, not necessarily some trauma experience. But I'm taking that as an extreme, so it becomes the same for in all other memories too. So why do we want to change our memories? These memories of ours which are limiting, which are not uplifting, these are traumatic memories, these are negative memories, they prevent us in enjoying what we have. We have everything that we had dreamed of, but we cannot enjoy because those memories are preventing us. And we cannot be grateful. Extremely important. We know we need to be grateful for things that we have, but yet those past memories overshadow and say, what is it that I have to be grateful for? Especially if we have lost a loved one in a traumatic accident or whatever. I wish it was me rather than that person, is how we say. And it is hard for us to be grateful for the things that we have in our lives. And we cannot live life to the fullest extent. We cannot have zest for life because of the past memories. And it is hard to be giving. And it is sometimes hard to be magnanimous too. That does not mean we are not giving. That does not mean we are not magnanimous enough. But if we have not healed properly from those past memories, something is preventing us to be giving wholeheartedly and to be magnanimous wholeheartedly. And it is hard to be compassionate and kind and loving to others because of those past memories. And if we are not able to give, we are not even be able to receive also. There are people who are showering with their love, with their empathy, with their compassion. We cannot receive that also if we have not healed properly. Ultimately, they say giving is receiving, you know. With whatever, I know there are many volunteers here where you are doing many of the seva work in this ashram. So you're giving a lot. Yes, you have also learned to give from the proper attitude, not about helping others through the way of doing seva. Yes, but just that is not enough. We also have to be receiving. Receiving what? And we need to grow from this. If we don't grow from the volunteering work that we are doing, it remains as volunteer work. It is not seva. For it to become seva, we need to be learning something from that. We need to be becoming better people. Otherwise, this is the biggest difference between volunteering, helping, and doing seva. So we come here, we keep saying we are doing master's service. That is in the broadest way. Master does not need our service. We have to come here to uplift ourselves. We have to come here to help ourselves. We have to come here to evolve ourselves. How we do that? Through that work. But if we are not helped, our ego will build up so big that we are not being helped. We are not helping others. We are not giving anything to them. If we are not receiving from them, we are not growing. If we are not growing, we are not evolving. Ultimately, it is about giving is receiving. And our past memories are preventing us to be healthier. If we are healthy, healthier. If we are not as healthy, it is preventing us to be healthy. And definitely it is preventing us to be either happy or happier. If we are already happy, we can be happier. If we are not even as happy as we would like to be, certainly the past memories are preventing us to be happy. Even though we have everything, we still cannot be happy. We cannot happier. We cannot be healthier. We cannot be receiving the love that others are pouring on us. And we cannot live life to the fullest extent. We cannot have that zest for life. So why change memories? Ultimately, to evolve into better human beings by being grateful, by being healthier, by being happier, by being able to receive others' love and compassion and empathy. We can be better people, and that is nothing but evolving. Ultimately, that why has to be so strong to be able to evolve. So, before I go further, I want to break here and then ask, otherwise it becomes too intense. A topic is intense, I know. Anything, any questions that you may have? So far, what I have shared with you all. Yeah.
15 minutes.
In about a few minutes, I'll come to a certain stage. Because if you don't have, I will go into the saying, and before we go into more principles and precepts of neuroscience, which is the foundation to know how should we change our memories, we will take a break in a few minutes. Okay, there is a saying, a flame can burn the house down. We know that, right? Naturally, a flame can burn the house down. It's a no-brainer. We all know this. But look at this. an unnurtured thought can burn the house down. Talk about the importance and significance of interpersonal relationships. An unnurtured thought can burn the house down. An unnurtured emotion can burn the house down. Very profound. An unnurtured thought can harm the relationship. Again, talk about interpersonal relationships. An unnurtured thought can harm the relationship. An unnurtured emotion can harm the relationship. An unnurtured thought can harm that person. And unnurtured emotion can harm the relationship. Before it harms the relationship, an unnurtured thought and emotion can harm us. What do I mean by that? The next slide is going to talk about anger. It is not just about anger. It could be hatred. It could be any one of our negative, afflictive emotion or feeling. The same thing holds good, what I show you here for anger. Holding on to anger is like grasping red hot charcoal. We're aiming to throw it on somebody because that somebody has hurt us really badly. And of course, there is no excuse for that is how we feel. But that anger, holding on to that anger, holding on to that resentment is actually burning us first. Because of that, we cannot even aim properly. And I see this is what is happening in this community. We have had such painful memories that we have faced in the families, within the families or friends. We are not even able to look for the solution properly. And this is not just anger, hurt, resentment, hatred, all negative, afflictive emotion. And this is science. It is not just because some things have happened to us, whether it's a traumatic experience or a small argument between siblings, between parents and children, between spouses. It is the same. And of course, this is not a moral class. Of course, this is not philosophy. This is pure science, which means it is common, irrespective of the socio-economic, religious background that we come from. Extremely important. So how do we deal with bad memories? We push it away or we ignore. Nothing wrong. This is the only way we knew how to protect ourselves and to be doing everything that we need to be doing every day, because we have so much of responsibility, especially if it's a traumatic experience or any simple one too. We push it away, we ignore. That is fine. That's a survival mechanism. Today, we're going to learn how to evolve through these bad memories that each and every person will have. It may not be traumatic experience. Sometimes if somebody has a traumatic experiences, and because of that bad memories, it is easier to come out of it. Most of us have these little gifs and arguments with our loved ones, and we keep adjusting and dealing. It is much harder to come out of that. But what happens at the level of brain is one and the same. The intensity may be different, but if it is a chronic situation, it doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be that intense. If it's a chronic situation, even though it is mild, it builds up. It builds up. It is just to give you an analogy, traumatic experiences, holding on to a big weight, 10 kg weight, and we have to walk 1 mile. And then we know I have to build up my muscles, otherwise I cannot. We will do something about it. Whereas smaller things, gifs, arguments, and misunderstanding with our loved ones, and sometimes with our own children, because we are the ones who have brought them up. And those are like holding on to 1 kg weight. But you cannot put that weight down. Wherever you go, you have to hold on to that weight and then handle it. Whatever you do, whether you're grooming, whether you're eating, you have to hold that with your right hand and be doing everything. Imagine that. What happens at the level of the brain for a scientist like me, it is kind of one and the same. The intensity may be different, or the time that is taken might be different for the effect, but the effect is the same. So what we resist persists. So instead of resisting certain relationships, avoiding, ignoring, we need to learn how to deal with it in the most kind, compassionate, understanding manner. This is what new neuroscience research is showing us. So much so, there are titles of the books that says survival of the friendliest, not survival of the fittest. It's one of the recent ones. I just bought it in US. That was the survival of the friendliest. And it's all based on the scientific research. I'll share that book, the title and the author with you. You can share it with this group. Survival of the friendliest, survival of the kindest. That was the older book. And what did we learn in schools? Survival of the fittest. We have misunderstood Darwinian theory of evolution. It is not fittest of the physical fitness. It is being kinder and friendlier. It is not about competition, put somebody down so I can come up, but it is about cooperation. And it is not only just cooperation, but collaboration. From competition to cooperation to collaboration. This is how we evolve. And whatever we fight, we strengthen that. And what you resist persists. What do I mean by that? Whatever we fight, we strengthen. See, I always say when people ask, and I'm an activist, no doubt I'm an activist, but I'm a peaceful activist. If you call me to fight against some mishaps that is happening, I'm not going to be there. But you call me to stop that war, not to stop the war, but to make peace. Let me go back. There is a war, right? War is happening everywhere. We can fight against the war, or we can fight for peace. The end result is the same, but how we approach that will be different. Think about it. This is what new neuroscience research is showing us. Evolve into better human beings. Go for peace, not against war. The end result is the same. We're going to bring harmony between the parties, between people. But it is much better to work for peace than work against war. Subtle difference. When you're working against war, you're going to be thinking about all the ammunition. What is it that they're doing? How can we prevent this? How can we stop this country getting ammunition to fight against? Whereas when you're working for peace, your ways towards will be very, very different. Yes.
Just a question. Is it the same power that you're using? Same power you
Absolutely, a great question. What is that power? The power that we have. Rather than, I will give you a simpler example, then it will make sense. Whenever we talk about get rid of the negativity, and I learned this the hard way, actually. 14 years back, when I used to conduct workshops, I used to conduct on automatic negative thoughts, how to come out of the negativity bias, because it was, the research was new and it was so catchy, was talking about it, to bring self-awareness with people, to recognize their negative thoughts and to be able to come out of it. And the attendees became so good at it, they could figure out which type of ant. We would even go into different types of ants, classify the automatic negative thoughts, the negative thoughts ants I'm talking about. So they became so good at it. They were focusing mostly on how to come out of negativity. And then I learned very quickly, yes, you need to be aware that you're getting the negative thoughts, but don't focus on that. Go towards positivity. Focus on positive things and magic happens. Just like if we are trying to avoid south, going towards south, all we need to do is to go towards north. Isn't that so? As simple as that. That change in our perception, when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at will change. Yes. That also, absolutely, it's one and the same. Different ways of saying. Yes.
That Mother Teresa was asked to join a march against war, and she refused it. She said, "No, I will join a march
For peace." Exactly. Exactly. The same thing. In fact, I have her saying as a slide when I talk about in some other things. Yes, that was Mother Teresa's saying. Absolutely. Okay, what we will do is we will stop here. We will go into more of principles. When we come back, we will take a break.
Thank you, Ushama. I'm sure you've not realized the time has gone by so quickly. We're going to have a short tea break. I'm going to ask the ladies in front just to guide you to the dining hall. Please, can we be seated in the room before 11 o'clock so that we can start with the next session. The bathrooms are also next to the dining hall. So if you need to use the bathrooms, they're also there. Thank you.